welcome back to the Angela Makes podcast. This is episode 25 and I am here today with all knitting. I bring you this podcast from just outside Belfast in Northern Ireland, and let's see, I have 3 finished objects and 2 whips. Well, 3 whips but 2 that I'm going to talk to you about. The other one you have seen, it's the NYX Sweater, but I've made a little bit of progress on it. So my first finished object is what I'm wearing. So this is the Avenue Tee that I showed in episode 24. It is by Tori Yu and I absolutely love this. Now, I have worn it quite a bit over the last 3 weeks because I got it finished I think 2 days after the last podcast. However, I'm not sure that I like the colour on me. I think if it was slightly deeper it would be better. So I'm definitely going to knit another one because I love the edging. I'll put a little bit of a video in because there's close-ups on it and you'll be able to see the edging on the neckline and on the arms, but it's also on the bottom, and although it is a traditional cast off, I think it just makes a lovely edge and finishes this off a little bit different to other tops that I've done. So I followed the pattern completely, except I made it a little bit longer. So that, and again you'll see that in the video when I'm standing up, it does come a little bit longer, but I don't like cropped jumpers. I like them typically about 13 to 14 inches, but as you can see this is quite nice for putting a shirt underneath because the armhole depth is just that bit deeper, and it allows you then to put a t-shirt or a shirt or something underneath the vest, and then it means that you can wear it any season. Because you can make it that little bit warmer or that little bit cooler. Now, what I have knitted in is wool, so I wouldn't necessarily want to wear it in the summer, but we don't get terribly hot summers here in Northern Ireland. So what did I use? I used Drops Charisma for this, held double with Malabrigo lace. The Drops Charisma was the light pink or pale pink. I'll put the number of it on screen, and the Malabrigo lace I just think gives a lovely subtle, what's the word I'm looking for, blend throughout the yarn, so that it's not just a flat colour. So I do absolutely love it. As I say, just the more I wear it and I look in the mirror, I'm not sure that I like the colour. But as you seen the last time, I had ordered wool and I had ordered the Drops Charisma and the Malabrigo lace, so I could potentially get another vest because it's very wearable in terms of not feeling like you're absolutely roasting all the time, but it just gives you that little layer of heat when you need it. So highly recommend this one. What did I use? 5? No more than 5 skeins. I don't think I finished the 5th skein, so about 4.5 skeins of the Drops Charisma and just over 1 of the Malabrigo lace, so it was really cost effective as well, and I much prefer the Malabrigo lace to a mohair. It definitely gives you a lovely texture. You know that you have something else added in as opposed to just the Drops Charisma. And it gives a lovely comfort almost to the fabric that's created, but for me the mohair is just a little bit too scratchy and a bit too fluffy, and it then gets a bit too warm as well. And if I get too warm, and I typically wouldn't wear this close to skin, but if it then is close to skin I feel like I'm getting incredibly itchy. So yeah, the Avenue vest by Tori Yu, and I highly recommend. One last thing, just as I remember, I did the crew neck. There is also a V-neck in this, so if a V-neck is what you prefer, you can do the V-neck, and they're both in the same pattern. So my second finished object you have also seen, and these are the socks from Tea Cake and Make. So these are the pumpkin socks. I'll put the name, I've forgotten the name of them. And I did go over these the last time. What I had realised, and it's happening again, the yarn, that violet, is completely blowing out on the camera. It is a lovely violet yarn. I don't know, that's totally blowing out. It looks like it is absolutely glowing. And it is the Yarn Smith's Sock Merino. And I used a couple of bits that I had left for the orange for the pumpkins and the green for the ribbing and the little bit of detail in between the pumpkins. I didn't change anything in this pattern. The ribbing was a twisted rib, so that's what I did. The heel was a little bit different, which I think I said the last time, and I did look the name of it up afterwards. I like it, but I think if it's a mindless pair of socks that I'm looking for, I will do my traditional slip stitch heel, because I do much prefer a heel flapping gusset to any other type of heel, but that's just my preference. There is a lovely pattern here, and again, you can see the pattern. The colour's not good, but you can see the pattern. The pattern's really nice, and again, it's just a 4-row repeat, so that's really easy, and then a bit of a rounded toe. So I didn't change anything on these socks other than my leg is a lot shorter. So in the pattern, this is repeated. So we have another row of the green and another row of the pumpkins. But as you know, and as I've said before, I prefer a shorter sock. I don't like a long legged sock. And neither does my daughter. Tea Cake and Make are running a KAL on Instagram, so if you go and take a look at their Instagram, they also have the most gorgeous Christmas ones with wee gingerbread men on them, and I have the yarn sitting, which I have pulled out of my stash so that I can do those for Christmas because they're absolutely adorable. Haven't started them yet, but they are sitting there in the might be cast on pile. And I know I had said the last time, but I think I will do might be cast on. So I do typically set out yarns and I think about the pattern. I set the pattern on top of the yarns, and sometimes I cast it on and sometimes it goes back into stash. And I think it would be useful to go through that process with you. So I'll see how I get on over the next few weeks. It is getting quite busy, but I will see how I get on the next few weeks. My final finished object is a KAL, which you haven't seen. I started this after the last podcast and I've finished it already. So last year I joined in the Tellybean Knit Halloween KAL, and I've done the same again this year. So this one is called the Halloween Party KAL. If you don't want to see it, then please look away. I have created a project vlog on this, so I'm not going to talk about it a lot, but I will link the project vlog above so that you can go and watch it. But this is the finished KAL. So just to go through quickly, this top bit right down to the green is all knit flat. This is dunking for apples, and you do that knitting down into rows below. Then these are like witches' wigs. This, if you look closely, if I've got close enough, are pumpkins. And then these are the uninvited guests. So there's like a triangular shape that is supposed to be moths in that one. Then you join to knitting around. The bit that Stephanie says about these particular ones is the bit that's not a surprise is the shape of the KAL, because it's the shape that she always uses. So you're increasing either side of the middle and then you're joining in as a KAL. So we have our skeletons, we have a snake, we have our cat dressed up in pumpkins, our fence and our beautiful ghosts. I think these are my favourite part, with their stripy socks and then a lace edge. Now, I still haven't done this. I said in the project vlog, I want to pull this out so that the points, and I have more of a wavy edge. I just steam blocked it so that the stitch is settled, but I need to wash it and pin those out so that they sit a little better. But this is lovely for this time of year. So I have last year's and this year's. I'll put a photo up actually of last year's because they're very, very different, but they're lovely and fun for this time of year. They also sit nice and cozy around your neck without being too tight, but I would suggest that if you're going to try this style of KAL that you definitely check your gauge, because if you are tighter, and particularly, this is knit flat so it shouldn't be too bad, once you go into the round, you could go up a needle if you find that your colour work is tighter than the gauge of the pattern. So typically for scarves and cowls and hats, I don't check my gauge too much, but for this I would, because the opening isn't terribly wide. It does go over your head, there's a good bit of stretch in it, and what that means is it's nice. I don't want to put it on because I'm going to catch everything and I'm too warm at the minute. I've tried it on in my vlog. It sits really quite nicely around your neck and keeps you quite warm. Some of the KALs that I have knit in the past, what I have found is that it hangs and then I don't get the good of it around my neck, which is what I want. So I do like the shape of these, but just as I say, to check your gauge to make sure that this opening is what it should be. But yeah, I absolutely love this and I would highly recommend Telly Bean Patterns. They're so detailed, they step you through everything. There are videos included within them, and they're just lovely. There are charts as well as written instructions. And I really struggle to go wrong with inner patterns. Now, I did make a mistake, which I talk about, because I dropped a stitch, but that's nothing to do with the pattern, absolutely nothing to do with the pattern. That's with me trying to get a section done before I go to sleep. So yeah, love this, absolutely love this. So there are my 3 finished objects. I am now starting to choke, and this is why I'd left it a week before recording, because I've been struggling with a sore throat. And typical today, it has got worse again, so please excuse me. I'll keep cutting the bits out where I'm coughing or choking. So there are 3 projects, as I say, in terms of whips. The first one I'm going to go over really quickly, and it's my NYX sweater. So once I had finished this, I decided to go back to the NYX so that it wasn't sitting for too long. So I have got, everything's blowing out today. I had got to the point where the pattern said to stop the body, but I know that it's not long enough for me. So I then decided to do the sleeve, and I have added the 1 by 1. So I know that this goes into a point, but I've just done the 1 by 1 at the end of the sleeve and then carried on in that colour for the ribbing. And I love this. When I tried it on, I really like it, and that is completely down to my wrist. Typically I do my sleeves a little bit shorter, it's kind of 3/4 length, but I haven't with this one. I now have the second sleeve back on the needles, and have I an inch done? No, I don't. I literally have put them back on and picked up my stitches, so I'm going to keep going with that sleeve because this is what I have left of the darker colour. I have this of the lemongrass left, so I will go down this sleeve, do the same at the bottom, but what I'm hoping is that for the bottom of the jumper that I can just do it in the darker colour. If not, it may end up with a little bit of this in it, but let's see how the sleeve goes. I think this should be more than enough for the sleeve, and I'll have a little bit left over. And then this, plus the bit from this, will give me enough to, I think when I counted it, I need about another 2 inches to get it where I would like it to be. But the rest of it is fitting really nicely. So I won't go over that too much more, and let's see by the next podcast if I can have that one finished. The next one you haven't seen. The next one is a recent cast on. Not that I needed to be casting on anything more, but it is also another purchase from Wool Warehouse. So I was on the Wool Warehouse, no I wasn't, Crayabea, I was watching her recent podcast and release of the Affric Sweater, and there is something about colour work that is really catching my eye at the minute. And I had went into the projects to see what different yarns people had used. Did I have any of the yarn in stash so that I could maybe have a go? And one of the ones that caught my eye in the testers was a sample that had used Yarnsmith's Pebble Haze in the Aran. And when I went on to their website, it was 4 balls for £6. So I totaled it up and I needed 18 or 20, I think. I ordered 20 balls, so £30 worth. And I think when I worked it out, it was 27 or £27.50 for what I needed for the sweater. I think that's what it was. So I decided to go for more beiges and creams, and I got this as my main colour. I will put a photo up of the Affric so that you can see. So I wanted to use this as my main colour. And this is shade 2L070 Dolomite. And the Pebble Haze is 50 grams, 100 meters per 50 grams, 61% cotton and 39% acrylic. So again, not a woolly wool, but it's like a blown type yarn. And it ends up with a lovely fabric. And then for the darker colour, I got Mudstone. And actually when this arrived, I really liked it. I really liked how rich and chocolatey this one was. And for the paler colour, I got this one, which is the Pumice. So they were the 3 just so that you can see the differences in the colours. And then there is a 4th colour. So I had ordered the Tiger's Eye. But then when it arrived, I wasn't keen on the Tiger's Eye. I think it would have worked. But then I wanted something a little bit brighter. So I remembered I had Pebble Haze in my stash that I had done one of my shawls in. And I got it out and started knitting with it. And it's this colour. I'll have to put it on screen because I can't remember which one it is. And yet again, it is blowing out. It's not as bright as that. Put it in, knit it, and then realised this is DK. But anyway, it's a small part of it and it actually doesn't affect. It's not pulling in any way. The colour work still does look lovely and flat and smooth. The only thing with colour work to try and show on here is that you end up with so many ends. So this is my Affric. So I have used, this is the main colour down here. The Dolomite. You can see the chocolatey brown for the dark. The centre of this is the Pumice. And then this turquoise across, it's actually not blowing out as much there, the turquoise across the centre. So there is only that one row of the turquoise, but I think it makes it pop quite nicely. So I haven't got very far, but I am really, really liking this. For the price of the yarn, and it is so squishy and smooth. I know it's cotton acrylic, but I think I'll get lots of wear out of this. I'm really interested to see how long it, or how well it holds up. But I'll give you a bit more detail on that as I continue and as I get further on in the knit. So the next few rows are all done in the main colour. I think I get almost down to where I will be breaking for sleeves. And then I have another of this pattern. No, it's not that pattern repeat. It's a slightly different pattern repeat before going into this one again. So I'm really enjoying it. It's a really nice knit. You'll see on the back, there's not too many places where you need to catch floats either. So I think that helps with the tension. But really, really enjoying that. So that's the Affric by Rebecca Clow of the Crayabea, and I will keep you up to date on that one. That is also some purchases in the last 3 weeks as well. I've got to the stage where I love going on to Wool Warehouse and seeing what is on sale, but I really shouldn't because it's far too tempting and I end up getting a little bit carried away. So with that order, the other thing that I wanted to try was the Drops Sky, and again it was on offer, so I'll just check what the price of it was. The Drops Sky is normally £5.10 and it's down to £3.55. So I got enough of this. It's 74% alpaca, 18% polyamide and 8% wool. The colour that I got was colour 14, which they call the unicorn mix, and it's lovely pastel-y purples and pinks and blues. But you can also see, what do they call this? Is it a chainette style? A much more complex tube-like structure that allows the yarn to be lightweight, breathable and very durable. They say perfect for big projects like blankets, ponchos, cardigans and jumpers, and cosy for accessories like shawls, hats and scarves. And it is, again, hopefully you can see, it's like a knitted strand almost in and of itself. So what I did was, again, to get the Malabrigo lace and hold, I think it's the pearl that I had, and it does create an absolutely beautiful fabric. This is so soft. It is going to be so drapey. I think what I intend is to just do a completely plain, maybe a no frills, possibly the Juno by the Knit Pearl Girl that I was talking about the last time. But I'm not going to start that until I finish a couple of the other ones. But with it being on sale, I did order it and I'm so glad that I did. It's so soft, so soft. Sometimes I wish you could explain slightly better. Now what I'm noticing is that the colour is very similar. So hopefully I like it when it's finished. But yeah, the Drop Sky, really beautiful. So I can't wait to use that. So apologies, it was just because it related to the final one. I've now done acquisitions in the middle of my whips. So then, because I'd finished the Telly Bean knit, and at the same time, obviously at this time, I say obviously, I think it's just because you see it if you're on Instagram, if you're on YouTube, Stephen West's MKAL at this time of the year. And I have followed this for a couple of years, probably the last 4 years, maybe 5, 4 years definitely. And I've been so tempted to start it every single year and something puts me off. So what I did a couple of years ago, I decided to look at his shawls and I got the yarn for the slip stravaganza. So again, I'll put a picture of it up. And I started it and I absolutely loved the initial honeycomb. And then when I get into the next bit, I was not enjoying it at all. And I kept picking it up and I kept thinking, no, I will absolutely love the end result. I just could not bring myself to work on it. So I know if I've picked a project up and put it down and picked it up and put it down and really got no further, that I'm better not using or wasting the yarn. So I took that all back out again. There weren't a huge number of ends, so I didn't waste too much. And I decided then last year, I thought, right, this is my year. I am going to sign up for the Westknits KAL and I'm going to join in. And I didn't. And I'm actually glad I didn't, because as I seen the clues, I wasn't as keen on how that particular shawl was coming together. So then this year again, and I thought, will I or won't I? And I love the combination of some of the yarns that he had put together when he talks about it in the month beforehand. And I still thought, no, you didn't like it last year once you've seen a couple of the clues, so just leave it until you see a couple of clues. I was also doing the Telly Bean knit, And then once it was finished, which was the 13th, the second clue of Westknits was due out on the 16th of October. So then I went on to YouTube and I watched a few podcasts of some of the knitters who had started it. And needless to say, I went on and bought it. Now, I did not buy any new yarn. I'm using the yarn for my slip extravaganza. And I am absolutely loving it. So yet again, if you've started this or intend to start it and are trying to avoid seeing it, please move on. I will put the bookmarks in down below and you can pop along to different parts. And I haven't put this in my photo at the start so that it's not there. I started this and I'm absolutely loving it. So what I had got for the slip extravaganza was Drops Flora. They're both 4-ply yarns. Okay, so the Drops Flora, which I've used it before and I've talked about it before, and I do love it in my scarves and KALs. 50 grams, 210 meters, 65% wool, 35% alpaca. And I am using the colours 05, which is the dark grey. This is attached, so yeah, that's not a bad colour representation. I am using the mid grey, which is colour 4. I am using the pale grey, which is colour 3. So that's those three together, and I felt there was enough contrast to make that work. And then my pop of colour is the tangerine. So that's the one, I used it in my Telly Bean Knits KAL actually as well, but I had plenty of this left. So they are the colours that I'm using for the Westknits KAL. So what I have done, I have the first clue started and I have 2 of the scallops done. Now again, these aren't easy to show. I'll put a picture up because I took a picture yesterday when I'd finished the first one. And I absolutely, all 4 colours are in this first piece. So you can just see the tangerine poking through and the mid grey here and then the dark grey and these. After the stockinette of this, the stockinette of the NYX, the stockinette of the test knit I'm doing, this was so enjoyable. I love learning new techniques, and although I'd done brioche before, so that was all okay, the way that he does these are really, really nice. It's not too deep that you're going to get caught on it, but it just adds a lovely squishiness and a texture, as does the brioche actually. And the way that you then join the second scallop, I just loved it. I absolutely loved it. Now, a couple of the things. Along this edge is a wee bit gapier than I would like, but I think when that's wrapped around you as a shawl, it's only that it's small at the minute and I'm looking at it thinking, I'd like that closed up. But maybe when it's the bigger piece, I won't need that. Now, I've plenty of ends that I could sew a few of the holes up a little bit. And it's just in that join, because obviously there's supposed to be the lace work here. And that is not supposed to be connected to that at all. But there's just a few holes down there. But as I say, I think once this wrapped around me, I won't see those. It's only because I'm working on a smaller piece of the shawl at the minute. I did actually look on to Clue 3. So Clue 3 was just released this week. Or was it? Yes, it was. Clue 3 was just released this week. And I looked on ahead to it. And I am loving how this one is coming together. So it's called the MusiKAL. And the idea is music and how it represents a musical score, but also just the vibrancy of music and the individuality of music as well. So Really intrigued to see how this comes on, but at the minute I'm loving the techniques. I've 2 different needles attached, but again, that is working okay. I do think I need needle stoppers at this stage, but I'll work that out. Absolutely loving this. So let's see how that goes, and if I actually get past glue 1, and what I continue to think of it. But yeah, as I say, I have looked at it for so long, and I have never joined in, or I have started a shawl and not enjoyed it, but I did want a Westknit shawl, so let's see how it goes. So the only thing left for me to do is to go through the winners. In the last podcast, I had said that it was my year anniversary of beginning Angela Makes, and I had 2 prizes. One was in this bag. So this is Tula Pink fabric. Kind of reminds me of Alice in Wonderland, actually. And I had the Inspiring Yarns. This is called Nereid, I think. But beautiful tones and colours in that one. And I had paired it up with the Ocean Mini. So you can use them together or separately. And then stitch markers from Hank's Yarn Parlour here in Belfast. And some wee light bulb markers again from Hank's Yarn Parlour in Belfast. So that was one of the prizes, not the first prize, one of the prizes. And the second prize was again in a Tula Pink's fabric bag. This was the yarn, and I had mixed it with this one, so Go Ask Alice. So that one actually was called Alice. What was this one? Flower Bash. So all 4-ply yarn, and again we stitch markers from Hank's Yarn Parlour and the wee light bulb markers as well. And I have selected 2. So this one is the pink set, and this one is the teal set. I have pulled out 2, or well, I didn't. The wonders of the internet did. 2 winners. The first person to get in contact with me, if both of you tell me what set you would prefer, hopefully it works out. But if not, the first email that I get in, you will get your choice. I think that's the only fair way to do it. And I will put up the wee picture here. So the winner, one of the winners is Debbie Gargan. So at Debbie, Gargan 847. And the second winner is Sharon B 4448. And I have spoke to Sharon quite a bit on different comments and that, so it's been lovely to get to know you and to chat to you through the medium of the knitting community. So they are the 2 winners. Congratulations to both of you. And if you want to email me, my email is below. Tell me which one you would prefer. And as I say, hopefully it all works out. But if not, the first person to email, I will give you your preference and then the second winner. Both kits are exactly the same other than the colours. But you are getting the same quantity of yarn and little bits and pieces inside for a treat. So thank you very much to everyone who commented. It really was lovely chatting in the comments that last time, and it would be lovely to keep that going. So any inspiration, not that I need any, but any inspiration, let me know down below in the comments. Because it's this time of year, even if you've watched it and enjoyed what I've been talking about, sent me a little pumpkin head as a wee emoticon down below. It's just nice to see that people are enjoying what is being covered here and what we're talking about and all the inspiration, or maybe you just find a pattern that you had never come across before So I love having a chat with you in the comments, so keep it going down below in this one. So that's me for today. I am going to go and get a few more tablets, and hopefully this clears up over the weekend. I will chat to you all soon. I hope that you're all well and that you're enjoying your crafting. Crafting certainly gets me through days like today. And I will see you the next time.